All right. Boom. We're live, Deonte.
Yes,
What's
sir.
good, my dude?
Nothing much, man. How you doing, bro? Just
Oh,
enjoying. Happy for this weekend. Much needed, bro.
yeah.
Got
Oh,
one more week left of this teaching thing until the summer break. All of my other teacher friends are, living the life right now. They got out like a week ago.
I was about to say,
Uh,
most people are already out, I feel like. At least
yeah, man.
here.
It's like that. It's funny. It's like that SpongeBob and Patrick meme, and Squidward when Squidward was in his house, and SpongeBob and Patrick are like outside having fun, and Patrick is in the window looking at him. That's how I feel right now as a teacher because all my teacher friends are on summer break, but we only got a week left, so it's not too bad, man.
You're almost there, dude.
Almost at the
You're
finish
almost
line.
there, man. And then
Yeah,
boom, whole summer off. Yeah, man. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get this
for
going.
sure, for sure. Deonte Epps, man, born and raised in the Killeen, Texas, 254. Had to represent for Killeen.
254, is
Graduated.
you dumb?
Yeah, man, I put a lot of my friends on a lot of clean stuff like the dang, what's the clean rap, the one back in the day. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, what
Maybe,
is it
maybe not by
called?
name, not by name, but
Uh,
probably if I heard it, maybe.
it's that it's that from that song you just quoted it. What is the dang?
Oh,
It's the Grip Boys, but I forgot. Oh, K Town Anthem.
yeah,
K
yeah,
Town
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Anthem. Yeah,
you're okay,
that's
okay, okay, okay. I didn't know what you're asking. Yeah, yeah, the K Town
yeah, yeah.
anthem.
Put people on the K Town anthem. But yeah, man, born and raised in Killeen, graduated Killeen High class of '09, man. And speaking of which, I know I'm kind of already going off on a tangent. Have you seen like the renovations they're doing to KHS?
Dude, I have no. Oh, wait. I think I saw they released like the model recently, right? Like what they were going to do.
Well, bro, you're gonna go back to school, that school, and visit, and we're not gonna recognize it at all. There are
Yeah.
little additions here and there, but like it's basically gonna be a brand new campus. But
I I saw the new one. I saw so my parents live by the new high school on Chaparral.
yeah, Chaparral.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my parents live right there. And so I've seen like them building that. That place is huge.
Yeah, man.
I think it's like a full blown campus out there.
Five. It's gonna be five high schools out there now. But
I know. And they're all
um,
what, 5 stars now?
yeah. For like athletic wise, I
Yeah.
think like when the new high school is built, they have to wait like maybe 2 years before they could play like varsity level sports. Like
Okay.
they'll be able to have JV and
Interesting.
freshman teams, but I think they have to wait like 2 years to like let the cycle of students come through and stuff like that. But
Oh,
um,
interesting.
yeah, graduated from Killeen, class of 2009. Graduated from Baylor 2013. And man, I've been through a lot, like as far as my journey already. Like I've worn a lot of hats as far as my career and stuff. So after I got my degree in film and digital media at Baylor, um, and I went and worked for a local news station here in the Waco area at KXXV. Started as a little production assistant, man, just helping out behind the scenes. Everything you see like on the newscast, I'm like the guy behind the camera or like cutting the video in the background. I did that for a few months, worked hard, worked my way up to a videographer for the station. So I'm like following the reporters to different stories and shooting footage for them and still doing the same as far as editing. But I always wanted to do something sports wise. I've loved sports since, I was a little kid. And so
Hmm.
um, I wanted to shoot sports and eventually try to do something in the sports area. So I would shadow the sports reporters at the station and stuff, and eventually work my way up to become a sports reporter at the station. And so I would anchor the sportscast on the weekends and go out and cover Texas A&M athletics in College Station. So I stayed in College Station for like a year, covering all of their athletic teams and stuff like that. So that was a great experience. And then the station got bought out and there was a lot of changes going on and I ended up switching, leaving the station and stuff. So I was like, man, what do I want to do next? And kind of keeping that same mindset of being close to sports. Um, I wanted to coach. I'm like, what can I do to stay close in that sports room? And I'm like, man, I want to coach. And so in order to coach in Texas, you're gonna have to be a teacher as well. So I went and
Yeah.
got my
Yep.
I went and got my teaching certificate with the I Teach Texas program, and here I am now, fifth year teaching, man. Like I was just telling you before, just trying to get to summer break, and almost there, man. So
What
that's
grade do you teach?
seventh and eighth grade,
Okay.
technology kind of stuff.
Okay.
So we've done like keyboarding, teaching kids how to type, because only thing they know how to do is text on a
Type
phone,
on. Yeah. Sure.
type on the keyboard. So keyboard concepts and learning different Google applications, Google Slides, Google Docs, stuff like that. Something that they could take with them on going on to high school and eventually college, writing essays and stuff like that, and learning how to
Yeah. Yeah.
work a computer, more than a phone, because they're champions with the cell phone, believe me. But when it comes to the computer, they're typing on the
Yeah.
keyboard like this.
One at a
Um,
time.
yeah,
One at a
yeah. So
time.
teaching them those concepts and stuff like that. But it's definitely been rewarding, man. And like I've learned like something that was a problem in my life, or something I probably call a weakness, is like I was never a patient kid. Like I wasn't a bad kid growing up, but I was very impatient. Like if something didn't go my way at that instant, I'm like,
Hmm.
you know how kids
I,
are growing up.
I feel that now. Shit.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, bro. It's definitely
constant.
something that has changed. Like being a teacher, like you have to be patient with dealing with adolescent children
Yeah. Yeah.
and parents and administration and stuff like that. So it's definitely something that was a weakness, but I think I consider it my strength, and it's helped me in life in general. So
That's good because that's something that I constantly work on. Constantly working on that patience. Like and patience is, I feel like there's multiple levels to patience. Like there's patience with people. There's patience with your dog or your animals or your kids or whatever. And then there's patience in success or patience in growth. Like there's just things
right,
that take a lot of time, and everything takes patience, whether you're trying to get better at a sport or whether you're trying to do a podcast like we're trying to do.
yeah,
Whatever it is, all that stuff takes patience, and that level of patience, a lot of people don't understand that when we commit to doing something like this is a multi-year kind of thing. Like this isn't like in 3 months we're gonna be rich and famous. Like
yeah.
that's not how this works. Like this takes a lot of time. Y'all been going now, what? Y'all are on your second year?
Yeah. Well, November
Um,
2021 will make 2 years.
okay, so you're
So
getting there.
we started November 19 or 2019, and it's
Okay.
crazy, man. Like we started it, and the way we started it was like, um, Dane and I used to have this podcast that we listened to. We still listen to this day. I don't know if I told you about it. If you may have heard of them, they're called Jenkins and Jones. You ever heard of Jenkins and Jones
Uh-uh.
podcast?
Uh-uh.
But it's just two guys like literally goofing around, talking
Yeah.
sports, just shooting the breeze and stuff. And Dane and I started listening to that podcast like 20. Let me get my year right. 2016.
Okay.
And now like they're under the Colin Cowherd like podcast network, and they're pretty big right now. And
Oh
um
yeah.
Lil Jethro is actually one of the guys I had on our podcast um earlier last year, end of last year.
Okay.
But yeah, man, like you and I have talked about it for sure. Is like um just the grind of it and trying to be consistent with it, and
Yeah.
now however many downloads or views you get, just keep pushing, man. Especially
Keep
like if your
going.
heart is in it. Yeah, for sure.
It takes
If your
one.
heart is in
It
it,
takes
what'd you say?
I said it just takes one.
Yeah.
Like it takes one video to pop, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
And that following comes.
yeah, just being consistent with it, and like it shouldn't feel like it's a job to you. Like for me, I feel like it shouldn't be like, oh man, I gotta record. Like, and you said it right when right before we started recording this.
Hmm.
You said it stuck with me real quick. You said, "Man, I had a rough day, but I'm excited for this." Like that's how you should feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's passionate, and you're something passionate or something that you're passionate about. you should feel like that. It shouldn't be draining. It shouldn't be like taking energy away from you. It should be something that it does the opposite. It should give
Yeah.
you energy, you know.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about, you know, our podcast, and I know you feel the same about yours. And yeah, man, man, I'm definitely proud of, you know, what you've done with this, you and Jeffrey with this thing, man. Like you committed to it, and you know, you had your plan, you everything set out what you wanted to do, and you've accomplished it so far, man. So definitely kudos to you for
I,
that.
I really appreciate that, man. We've talked about it before, but before we get too far,
Yeah.
just for the people who are listening who don't know who you are, other
Okay.
than your name now, what podcast you referring to?
Yeah.
And
So
and you know,
yeah, the merch. You know, I need to. I need to get. That's why I can't. Another reason I can't wait for summer. I got more time to dive into, you know, different avenues and stuff about the
everything.
podcast.
Yep.
Yeah. So I am the co-host of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast with my best friend Dane Beasley, who's also a clean grad, and I've known Dane since the 3rd grade. And you know, we love talking sports. Brodey, you know, you and us and Demonric, we always talk sports stuff in the Twitter group chat. But man, we just wanted to like the everyday conversations that we have about sports, we just wanted to put it on a platform for our friends and family to hear, you know. And we started it in November 2019, and we're like, as of this episode, we're 47 episodes in, but we've had some great guests come on from the world of sports, from ESPN, Bleacher Report, Netflix with the Last Chance U series had 2 stars from season 5 and 6, with RJ Stern, and then Coach John Mosley from East Los Angeles College. So it's been rewarding, and I mentioned this a few days ago. I never could have imagined, you know, talking with Trey Wingo or Jay Billis, you know, people that I've seen on TV for years, and like they're in a Zoom with me
Yeah.
on. And it's been crazy. You know, we're still trying to get a couple guests to come on every now and then, you know, try to mix it up and let people, you know, in on what we got going on. But it's been a great experience, man, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So we just, you know, like, you motivate me with what you do, and you know, I think, you know, it goes both ways with what we're
Oh
doing
yeah.
with our podcast, man. And so it's just been a great opportunity, and you know, we're just seeing where it goes.
That's good. No, that's great, dude. I mean, it does. It definitely goes both ways. I mean, y'all are crushing it. Y'all have dope guests all the time. I enjoyed the KJ one just recently.
Yeah.
I love it always. I mean, I'm always listening to it every Tuesday. I look forward to it because I'm off on Tuesdays, so I get to listen to the whole episode, walk the dog, whatever it is, get in the
Yeah.
car whenever I'm going running errands. So it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. I like y'all's podcast a lot. I can't wait for the Loki show to come back out so we
Yeah.
can hear some more Marvel stuff, because I really enjoy the Marvel stuff. Like
Yeah.
I enjoy sports and I love sports, but I really enjoy listening to the Marvel stuff. I enjoy.
Yeah.
Y'all always pick up on something that I don't catch.
Yeah.
Or y'all have a little bit more comic book knowledge than I'll have, or Dane will always catch something. Like Dane's really good at like putting little things together, whether they're a coincidence or not. He always points out something that carries over from another movie or another
Right.
show, and you're like, I
Yeah.
didn't even think of that.
Aha, yeah, he's really good at that. And you know, yeah, for sure, man. With Loki, I watched. I don't know. Have you watched like the Marvel's Legends thing that comes out on Disney Plus, like right before the shows come out?
I haven't.
It's like a little recap of like before WandaVision came out. They came out with these little 8-minute episodes to catch you up on like Wanda Maximoff, her story, and Vision. And so it did the same with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. And so like with this Loki one, it had a little short 8-minute clip about Loki and his history, and then the Tesseract stuff. So it kind of got you hyped for the show and stuff like that. But I actually watched those like when I got home from work and stuff. So yeah, man, we enjoy talking. Like one way that's like our podcast is like the one-stop shop for like jerks and nerds, or jocks and nerds. Jocks and nerds. Yeah, it's like, man, if you love sports and if you love like the nerdy stuff, we like, that's like the essence of what we do. Like, we talk
Oh yeah.
sports, we talk video games, and MCU stuff, DC sometimes, and stuff like that. So it's very easy to talk about because, like we talked about earlier, man, you're passionate about it, you know about it. So it's just like speaking if we were in person, like everyday conversations, but we just have a microphone and headphones on.
Yeah, and you're just recording it for people to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've talked about that too, like the potential, like it blowing up, or eventually when it blows up, or if it blows up, or whatever. We talked about that too briefly, like how there's some anxiety involved in this. And then, so it hit me today. It doesn't matter what it is that someone chooses to do, whether it's doing a podcast, whether it's going out and playing professional sports at that level where or even college sports where you're being recorded, whether it's recording YouTube food videos, like you walking into a restaurant and you're recording yourself in third person and all those people are staring at you. I put this together today. I was driving to work and I was like, man, it doesn't matter what you do. It all takes so much courage. And you just start to have an appreciation for anyone who does anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything where the public, especially in today's culture, anything that's in the public eye, you're just like, damn, I respect you. It could be anything. It doesn't matter. And you're just like, damn, that takes a lot of balls.
Yeah.
Like you gotta get out there, put yourself out there, and just not care. Like you can't think about it. You just gotta do you.
Right. And what the other people may think or, may share. But like, that's the thing. Like, and we talked about that. Like, if it ever were to blow out or blow up, you could see, like, man, I haven't really witnessed it yet, but like the critics that may like really not like what you put out. And that's the funny thing. Like, man, how would I respond to that? Like, I could say it all day right here as I'm talking to you, but like, man, I could just shrug it off, or like I could actually say something to them personally, but you really don't know, like, especially depending on how the comment is or how you take it, like how you will respond in that moment, because the big time people that are on ESPN every day, like the Stephen A. Smiths, they get on Twitter, they get trolls every day, like every day of the world, or every day in this world, you know what I'm saying? So it'll be interesting if we ever get to that point where, like, man, how do you respond to trolls? But it's funny because, man, this past week I've been on there's this podcast called the Dissect Podcast. Have you heard of that? So like they break down, it's the Spotify, well, I think it's on Apple now, but they break down different albums, and like it's like 8 seasons in, but I'm just now watching it. The season that I just listened to, not watched, was the Childish Gambino Because of the Internet, which is like one of my favorite albums ever.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And like the essence of the album is what we're talking about right now, is like the internet and its pitfalls and the trolls and dealing with criticism and how do you respond to it. Like literally what we're talking about is what, like, some of the main themes of it, and how the internet is important, but at the same time you have to know how to navigate it. You have to know how to expand, or should I say, like, adapt to everything that's changing within the internet and stuff. So it's like, it's all like coming together full circle. We're talking about this. I had a little weird deja vu kind of moment.
No, I mean, that's exactly what happened to me this morning when I was thinking about it too. I was just like, it all kind of clicked, and I was like, I can't remember the exact thought, but it was something along those lines where it's just like, damn, it doesn't matter what you do. It just takes a lot of courage, and you just got to put yourself out there. It doesn't matter, like, anything, like, to be successful, you have to put yourself out there. And that's why fear controls, like, all of us. Like, and each day is a new opportunity to whether conquer that fear or let that fear win the day. And we talk about this a lot at work. It's like, I enjoy my leisures too, but for the most part, I try to stay go, 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 go. Like, when I wake up, the second I'm out of bed, it's like, all right, coffee, and then let's go. walk the dog, whatever it may be. I got to get the day going. And we talk about this all the time. It's so easy and so desirable to just sit at the house and just do nothing.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many people who are working from home, and I feel like that's a bit. I feel like it's common for them too. They just get stuck in this rut, especially over the last year, where they're just in the house. That's it. They just never leave. My neighbor never leaves the house ever. She never leaves. She just doesn't leave since COVID, and she just hasn't left. And I'm just like,
is it because she's like scared to leave, or she's just like in the rut of just like,
I think,
I'm here.
well, I think it started off as being scared, and then now I think it's just being in a rut.
Yeah.
Right. At this point, I feel like now you just got to be in a rut. Like, I mean,
right.
And it's just, man, it's just crazy because I don't know really where I was really going with that, but it's just, I don't know, just get up and do some stuff, man. Yeah. And so like I've been trying to just try new places, think less about things, like think less, try new restaurants, go get whatever it is that you want. Like if it's something that's within your means, just go and do it. Don't think about it. Like I was saying before we started, like two of the girls from my Muay Thai gym, they have fights in Arkansas, and I was like, man, I was thinking, and I'm like, okay, I got 4 personal days. 2 are already accounted for because I'm going to New York in November with Reggie. We're gonna go to a Giants game.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
Dang, and I bought tickets to Cowboys Broncos.
I heard that's exciting too.
It's gonna be
that's exciting too, man. And a quick side note, freaking Reggie we were talking about food, and I was like, dude, I can't wait to eat all this food in New York. And Reggie was like, I don't travel to just eat all day. And I'm like, the fuck? Why else do you travel, bro?
He just wants the pics and the sights, you know.
Yeah,
but yeah, if you're traveling, especially if you've never been. Have you ever been to New York?
I haven't.
Oh yeah, you gotta eat, man. Like especially if you go to you gotta try it. Yeah, man.
Dude,
you gotta try it.
Like all day long. We're only there for a weekend. I'm trying to eat as much food as possible. And he was like, I don't travel to eat. And I was like, what? What does that even mean, dude? Like, all right, you can go do whatever it is that you want to do. I'm gonna eat all day.
I'm gonna eat. I don't blame you.
But yeah, no, like thinking less. And so I'm sitting here like, okay, I got 4 personal days. 2 of them are already accounted for. And then this next weekend is going to take the other 2. And I'm like, damn, now I got none for the whole year. And instead of thinking like, okay, man, what if something comes up? What if something happens? What if I need to use a personal day? Just go live life. Like life is so short. And I'm trying to get better at that. Like recently on Instagram, as you might have seen, like I've just been eating out a little more than I probably should, because it spends a lot of money. Right. But it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. I thoroughly enjoy trying new restaurants. And my love for food is like my love for podcasting, or my love for Muay Thai, or my love for sports. Like food is amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's just so good. And like I'm coming to grips that I'm just not going to be this person who's extremely disciplined with my nutrition. Like for the most part, I'll probably eat about 70-80% clean, but that other 20%, I don't give a fuck. Like I'm throwing down, and I got to, because I just have a love for food that I have this desire to just try new food all the time. And I've just been on an absolute Asian food spree.
Right.
Like pho, ramen, vermicelli bowls, everything Asian. I've just been on a spree. I was telling my friends, I was like, man,
like new things in general, like anything new, like foods or restaurants or like places, traveling. Like what's so great about my wife? I'm gonna plug her in here. Hi, Karina, love you. I was never like a traveler. Like it wasn't that I didn't want to travel. It was just like, if a trip came up, like, hey, I'll go. But like since I've been with Karina, like we've been to so many places, like, and it goes back to what you're saying about life being too short. So like just enjoy it. I just turned 30, man, and I'm like, man, summer's coming up. I am trying to get to the next beach, I think I want to go to Disneyland for the Avengers campus, since it just opened.
You were just
Uh,
talking about that. I saw that on
yes,
Twitter.
yes, I want to go, man. I went to Disneyland once, like 2 years ago, and it was fun. But I gotta go back, and since they opened this campus up. But yeah, just in general, man, like something that this also reminded me of was like growing up with my family. Like my parents always instilled in me to like, you know, with the along with doing whatever you want to the fullest, but also like never settle. Like, and it kind of goes back to like the podcast and like being a creator, creating different things. Like, um, I'm gonna start right. Like, I had the podcast, and then we have the podcast and the podcast website, and I'm like sitting there, like a lot of people don't know we had a website for our podcast, and I'm like, man, how can I make it more of a value to bring value to something that we have that's great there. And I'm like, man, I could start writing for it. And so I think I'm gonna start writing. I announced I'm gonna start writing for the my own on my own leisure. Like, creators create. Like, I have it in me to like not settle and to try different things, like going back to trying different things. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not a writer. Like, I wrote a little bit for the newscast when I was a sports reporter, but I'm not like professional at it. It's just literally just gonna be my own thoughts typed out on a website, on a form for everybody can see, my thoughts on different things. It could be about sports, it could be about life, but like in life in general, man, I want to be seen as somebody that like did not settle for, you know, the little things. Not not to sound like extra, you know, big idea oriented, but I just want to be able to say like, man, I gave it all, my all throughout my life, and like I always wanted to try this. Like when I was coaching, the sports reporting thing, the podcasting thing, like I've always been that way, like not settling on, what's in front of me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does, because that's what I
Yeah.
was gonna say earlier. That brought back a point that I was gonna say when we first started, right off the bat. Like you were listing, like, yeah, I graduated from here, and then I started working here, and then I was like, okay, let's go work here, and then I was like, okay, I
Yeah.
kind of want to do this, and then you started doing that. I respect that because that's something that has taken me until now to really start doing that, and it really started with going into the Muay Thai gym.
Yeah.
And I've kind of talked about this before, but that's where it kind of started because back in, man, when I was working at Six Pack Shortcuts probably 5 or 6 years ago,
Hmm.
we had boxing gloves and pads, and I would hit the pads every once in a while with my friend who'd been doing it for about 15 years. And I would hit the pads with him, and he looked at me one day and he was like, Jordan, if you let me coach you for 3 months, you could be better than me. He was like, just the way you move, you just have that natural movement for it. Like this is something that you could be really good at. And I never followed up with it. Like
Yeah.
I never went to go find a gym to train at. Like I'm very, like, I'm trying to break my codependency per se. Like I'm very much like, hey, you want to go do this with me? If you want to go
Yeah.
with me, I'm down to do anything. Like if I have somebody with me, I'm down to do whatever.
Right.
But when I'm by myself, I'm much, much more timid. And so it's just doing the little things, like I was saying, trying that restaurant by yourself. Man, fuck it if you don't got nobody to go with you. Just go. If you
Just
want to
do it.
go try this place, just go do it by yourself. If you want to go see that movie, just go see it by yourself. Like you don't need someone to do everything with you.
Right.
And you don't need anyone there to still enjoy your time. Like you can still live life by yourself and still be equally as happy.
Yep.
It's always better to enjoy it with somebody who you thoroughly enjoy,
Right.
but if there's nobody in your life at that moment, don't be like me. Don't be like, okay, man, I'm just gonna, oh dang, dude, Deonte can't go tonight. Well, I guess I'm not gonna go. Like
Yeah.
that was always me. And so when it came to going to the Muay Thai gym, there was a guy who actually was the episode before this, Alex, who was supposed to go to the gym with me, and we had talked about it for a few weeks and signed up for the free trial. And he was like, yeah, I'll show up. And the day came, and he was like, he ended up bailing, and I was like, fuck it, I'm going by myself.
Hmm.
And so I just walked in by myself, signed up that day, and it's been a wrap since. Like
Yeah.
it, I don't do anything. I don't do anything in my life that I enjoy more than that. And so it kind of started there because I was like, damn, dude, this whole time, like I'm 28, 27 years old, almost 28.
Yeah.
And it's taken till now to start doing the things that I want to do in life versus trying to find someone to always do it with me.
Right.
And ever since that, I've just been happier. Just been a happier person.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about doing. I'm still thinking about doing this Thailand trip. I kind of want to live there for a few months.
Oh, nice, bro.
That's a little dependent on a few different things. That depends on how this house selling goes and the flipping
Yeah.
of the house and all of that. That the money side of it, but
Right.
whether or not I have enough money to not work for a few months. And in Thailand, it's pretty inexpensive, but I need to have a plan for when I get back, you know. But the cool thing is, I could still do the podcast virtually. So I've already
Yeah.
thought that out because it's exactly 12 hours. So if we do the podcast at 7 p.m., I just got to be up at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So that's perfect. So it works
Got
out
the
works out
logistics part
perfectly.
figured out. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, man, I think there's something so important to that, and I talk about this all the time. These people just get stuck in a rut, and including myself, I get stuck in these ruts where I'm just like, I don't want to do nothing.
Yeah.
And you just wake up and you're just like, oh man, let's just stay in bed. Like it's nice and comfy here. It's easy here. It's hard work, you know, doing what we do to work a full time job and pursue everything else that we want to do in life. To make the time, not
Yeah.
find the time, make the time.
Make it. Yeah.
Because everybody has the time to do whatever it is that they want to do. You
Yep.
just have to prioritize, and you just have to set your day up in a fashion in which you get those things done.
Yep. Not just like Nike, just do it, man. Like that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like
It's a strong man. What a slogan. It's great. It really is.
right.
Like it's
It's quick,
perfect.
straight to the point, and
Yeah,
like you can't explain it more than that. And like, especially like with being consistent with the extra endeavors, because like there's times where you just in a rut, like, man, do I really want to do this? But like if you're passionate about it, you're committed to it. You have people and that's like one of the things that motivates myself with the podcast is like when people come out and give you compliments about it, like, man, I didn't even know you listen, and then you get a
yeah,
text, you
yeah,
get a DM, you get a call, like, man, that really means a lot, and it really keeps me going. And I know you've received a lot of great
yeah.
feedback and
Those silent
appreciation.
supporters.
Yeah, yeah,
Those
man.
are the best ones.
So,
Cause like you know who like there's certain people who listen because those are your friends. Like those are
right.
that type of friends, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Brian King, for instance, like he's gonna
Yeah.
listen to our episodes no matter what because that's him, that's who he
Yep.
is, and I respect the hell out of that. But there's
Yes.
always those people that listen who you don't think would listen or you don't really think they care or whatever it is, and then there's that one episode that just hits them where they're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I gotta let them know that I enjoyed this, and then when they
Yeah.
hit you up, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you listen? Oh
Yeah.
damn, and then
Yeah.
you're like,
But like, man,
hell
I
yeah,
appreciate
man.
it. Or like another example was like maybe like 2 weeks ago, and it was so like on the spot, like because in my mind I was thinking like, man, the video part of it I wasn't, because I'm like cutting it, I'm doing everything when editing
Mhm.
it on the audio and video side, so that takes some energy out of you. But I put up one of the video episodes, and I can't remember who it was, but they texted me and said, hey, yeah, listening to it on the video, I'm glad y'all are doing the video portion of it. Like they consume our podcast through the video on YouTube. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, okay. So I'm gonna keep grinding because I got people that just watch it, what I'm saying, through YouTube. So I'm like, man, okay, that gives me the confidence, that gives me the extra energy, that extra boost to be like, okay, I can keep doing this. I can push, what I'm saying? And sometimes it's that little nudge that be like, man, is this really worth doing it? And then it's like a sign that says, yeah, it is.
yep, yep. Dude, I go through those. I don't know about you, but for me personally, I struggle. I struggle pretty much every day. Like every day is kind of a struggle mentally. Like I said, every day is a new day to tackle what I tackled yesterday, and I
Yeah.
wake up feeling the same way I did the day before, the morning before, and I'm like, bro, like we already been over this. Like this is what we're doing, and it's exactly that. It's just the whole like, well, I can't quit now. Shit, the the schedule's till November. No matter
Yeah.
what, I got to see that through. And then you get those messages, and you're like, oh man, I can't quit. Or the guest just on Wednesday, we were sitting there, and halfway through the podcast, he was like, Jordan, I want to tell you something. He was like, this whole thing is inspiration. Like, you're
Yeah.
inspiring people. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, what, dude? I'm just sitting down having conversations, man. And he was like, no, it's I knew you before the fight, before you started the podcast, and then you came up to me and you're like, hey, let's go to this gym. I ended up bailing, but you went, then you signed up for the tournament, then you committed to it, then you won the tournament, then you started the podcast, then you committed to the podcast. And he was like, that's really cool. And it's very easy for us to overlook what we're doing because it seems not necessarily easy, but it just seems like we're just living our life. Like, this is just, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
We're go. We like to get things done. And so it seems like it's very normal to us, or it feels kind of normal. So it's very easy to overlook what it is that what it is that we do, and the people who are impacted by it, or the people that get motivated by it, or the people that, they listen to your guests and they get motivated by that, or they see a post of mine about nutrition and they're like, oh, you know what, maybe I should eat a little bit better, or whatever it is. And that's cool, man, because social media can be a drag sometimes. And so it's cool to know that if you're genuine and you put out just good stuff, that people respond to that very well.
Right. Yeah. Definitely something that resonates when you have that support system, to have the people behind you. And it's not it doesn't even have to be like a side hustle, like a podcast or something, like in your everyday life. Like,
Yeah.
if people see like you're doing your 9 to 5, and like just to see the appreciation from somebody that's saying like, man, I see you doing what you got to do, taking care of your kids, taking care of your family, like that could work the same way.
Yeah.
Like sometimes
Absolutely.
people need to hear it. Like, and if people are listening to this podcast, like sometimes people really need to hear, like, you have those people that are independent, on their own, like really don't need the motivation, but
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to reach out to a close family member or a friend and just tell them like, man, I'm proud of you. Like, you are doing what you're supposed to do. Like, you set goals, you taking care of your family, you're taking care of your friends, you're doing this, you're doing that, like making a positive impact on somebody, like
Yeah.
helping somebody, inspiring somebody. And like that's huge too. Like, it doesn't have to be a podcast, it doesn't have to be a show or anything like that. It could just be you doing what you're supposed to do in your life, and taking care of who you're supposed to take care of. So like people
No,
need to hear that for sure.
I I like that a lot, because that's a good point for sure, because like, people stop responding to people with potential problems to their ideas. When someone comes up to you and tells you, "Hey, this is what I want to do," just tell them to go do it. Like,
Yeah.
stop giving them potential issues that haven't happened yet, that cause them to start to second guess it
That
and
doubt.
to
Yeah.
start to doubt it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's literally
Mm-hmm.
instant. The second that doubt creeps in, you're like, oh well, maybe I
Yep. That
shouldn't
fear.
do this.
That fear of failure. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And all it takes is someone close to you saying, nah, well, what if this happens? It's like, man,
Mm-hmm.
like, stop doing that. Like, that's killing people's dreams. Like, that's how kids get crushed. That's how, like, kids
Yeah.
don't like, they stop striding for something. That's how people get stuck with a 9 to 5 that they absolutely hate, and they don't do anything else. They just
Mm-hmm.
go home, they come home, they get bitched at by their spouse.
Yeah.
They're in a terrible, miserable relationship. They go to sleep, they wake up, they repeat each and every day. And it's as little as what you were saying. It's as simple as just when someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, Deonte, I'm gonna start this podcast." All right, cool, do it. Boom.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Like, but people will always just try to find, and they think that they're helping. They think that they're helping, but you're not helping, because all you're
Yeah.
doing is they already have that doubt in their head. That's why they're talking to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't have that doubt in their head, then they would have already started the podcast.
Yep.
They're talking to you because they want that reassurance. They want that just extra little bit. Just be like, "Nah, you should go do it." And then they do it. But the second you give them that doubt, you're already confirming what they're already thinking in their head anyways. They're already
Yeah.
thinking that they can't do it. That's why they're telling you about it.
So what? I got a question for you. What was
Go
like
for it.
your process? Like, because I remember you texting me, months before you started your podcast, and what I was really what really made me say, yeah, he knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had your layout, your plan, what you wanted to do and how you wanted to like take on this project. How, like, what was that trigger in your mind? What was like hey man, I want to do this. Like, I want to start a podcast. What was kind of that click for you?
So growing up, I always wanted to help people, right? And I thought my way of helping people was to be a police officer. So back in the day, I wanted to be a police officer. That's what I went to school for. I went to school for a criminal justice major, and then right out of college, I applied for the Austin State Troopers. Got denied, and even and then a lot of this, not necessarily negativity, but a lot of this light on police officers and some of the stuff that they've been doing that's just not right got really blasted. Like that's kind of when it all started, right around like 2015, 2016, when it really was all over social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
And I feel like 50% of me kind of feels guilty for giving up and not continuing, because then I could be that one police officer that is doing the right thing, or and try to help other officers continue to do the right thing, or and then the other 50% of me is like, nah, fuck it, like I
Right.
can't be a part of that. And so that was a struggle for me mentally, because I was like, man, like I kind of want to continue to do it, but then I'm like, no, I don't know if I want to be grouped with those people, because that's not who I am. I want to help people, and those people aren't helping people, and or at least the people that were being blasted on social media, those people weren't helping people. Those people were hurting people. And I've always I just enjoy helping people. I'm a fixer. I think most guys can relate to that. Most guys kind of, we try to fix everything.
Yeah.
And so
My
I
wife
always
would
try to
say
find,
just because I can't fix anything in the house.
yeah. I'm the same
I,
way, dude. I'm the same way. Oh man, dude, I'm useless when it comes to that stuff, and it's bad. My dad always tried to teach me, and I just had zero desire to learn.
there was one summer in college where I did YouTube how to fix my PT Cruiser when I had a PT Cruiser. Bro, I used to
Yeah.
drive a PT
Okay.
Cruiser. Ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
again. But it was something wrong with like the gear shift and like, everything. You can learn anything on YouTube. So
Oh yeah, everything.
yeah. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
No, no, you're good. That's funny, because Philip and I changed the starter in my Jeep one day, and we just felt so accomplished. Like we were like, damn, and all it
Bro,
was like four
so
screws,
hey,
bro.
and see, I had my college friends at the time help me with my car, and we called ourselves Pep Boys all summer. Pep
I love
Boys.
it. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, but there's that sense of accomplishment. That kind of goes back to what we were talking about too, just with anything. There's that sense of accomplishment, and when you accomplish something, you want to accomplish something else, and that's why it's so important. That's why I really buy into that whole military mindset of make your bed every morning, because it's that first task, boom, checked off for the day. Then once you check that task off, you go off to the next task. You check that task off. You check the next task off. And then next thing you know, boom, your whole day's done, and you completed everything that you wanted to complete. And it wasn't like, I got to
Right.
do all of this today. Because half the time when you feel like that, if you combine all the time that it took you to complete those chores, it probably took an hour and a half to 2 hours of your day to complete everything.
Right.
Very little people have so many things to do that it literally takes all day long of nonstop, constant doing. Like that's a
Right.
lot of stuff to do.
Exactly.
Most people don't have that. Like that's not what it is. Usually it takes like 2 hours. But yeah, so I wanted to help people, and I enjoy talking about anything. It's kind of like my love for food. No matter what kind of food, I'm pretty much down to eat anything. try anything once. And that's kind of my same take with conversations. I can talk to anybody about anything. You want to dive into conspiracy theories? I'll sit there and listen to you talk about it. Sure. You want to talk about sports? Okay, boom, let's do sports. You want to talk about politics? Okay, let's do politics. Like, I, I pride myself on being able to just hold at least a small
I,
conversation
I
in a lot
definitely
of
think
different things.
I definitely think that's a strength of yours, bro. Like being versatile and being able to talk about a variety of topics is what I feel like makes your podcast great. Like you've had, well, I don't know, am I guess number what, 12, 13,
You are 15,
15? I'm sorry. So yeah,
15 or 16, yeah.
you've had like people from every avenue, every walks of life, and being able to connect with them and talk with them about anything, like what makes, I'm hyping you up for sure.
No,
being
no,
able
no, I appreciate it.
to well, being able to connect with them, through their walks of life, their beliefs, their views, values, all those kind of things is what makes this podcast so great. Like, you have your typical podcast, where they talk about certain topics and genres and stuff like that, but you've been able to connect with all those, makes that, brings a lot of value to what you do, man.
I appreciate that because that really is the goal. Like I don't, it's not anything specific. Like there's no specific type of guest that I'm
Mhm.
looking for. A lot of people ask me if there's someone in particular that I'm looking for when they like want to offer a suggestion of someone to bring on.
Uh-huh.
Let me turn this light on since we're losing
Okay.
all this light in here. Hold on. Whew, I just saw my face just slowly fading. Um, and yeah, so a lot of people. Wait, where was I going?
Suggestions.
Yes, so a lot of people will offer suggestions on people to bring on. They're like, "Is there like a certain person that you're looking for?" And it's really not. It's just anybody that can hold a good conversation about anything, whatever it is that you're passionate about. Let's talk about it because I feel like there's always, and we talked about this in Norman's podcast. Shout out to Norm.
No.
Like you can learn anything from anyone if you just listen. And he said it best. Even if someone gives you 80% bullshit, 20% of it might be a gem that you can take away and you can better yourself through it if you just listen. And
Right.
that's one thing doing retail sales, and just the podcast in general, or just listening to podcasts. You learn, or you start to realize that most people aren't used to you actually listening. Most people are so accustomed to these very mundane, small talk conversations
The
that
nine
we
to
all
five
have to.
conversations.
Yeah, like those, like yeah, like the
the
how
the
are you?
yeah, the
How
water
was your
cooler talk.
weekend? Yeah, how was your weekend? And everybody knows while you're having those meaningless conversations, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Like no one cares. Y'all are just talking at each other. You're not really talking to each other because you're just talking about things that really no one like. They don't care. They're just asking you to be nice, and most people are just trying to be nice. And you start to learn when you have these kind of conversations that a lot of people just aren't used to you listening. So, like if oh, that made it worse. Fuck. Um, like if you like and then you see somebody one day and then the next day they tell you something and then a week later you see them again, you're like, oh hey, how was your aunt or whatever it was. Like, oh wait, you were paying attention? Like
Right.
someone hit me with that the other day. Someone was, I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was, well, speaking of Alexander, the last episode, the last guest, he was like, you were born in Fayetteville, right? And I was like, what? I was like, did I tell you that? He was like, yeah, like a couple months ago. And I was like, oh, see, there are people, like
Mm-hmm.
people do listen, or people want to listen, but they just want you to talk about, they want you to ask about them, and they also want you to talk about something of substance,
Right.
right? And that's what I'm trying to offer here. And yeah, I mean, it's a bite off of Joe Rogan. It is what it is. That's what it is. He does exactly this, but he just gets ginormous names that sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you can't relate to. So the biggest thing about this is, yeah, there's going to be some guests that we bring on that are going to be bigger, but a lot of this is people from Colleen, um, people from my gym. Pretty much almost, if you're not from Colleen, you're from my gym.
Yeah.
If you're on this podcast already, like everybody comes from my CrossFit gym. I'm gonna start getting the Muay Thai people on here soon. Hopefully some professional fighters. That'll be fun.
That's dope.
Some professional grapplers. We know a few here. And stuff like that. So I really appreciate it. Kind of got off on a tangent. We'll get back to you. But yeah, I appreciate it, and that's what I really enjoy. That's what I want to do. So to kind of answer your question, the initial question is, I just started writing everything down, and I
Mm-hmm.
found the power in that, writing things down, and I got to get back to that. I haven't written in my notebook in probably like a week and a half. I got to get back to that. I got to get back to writing things down. I just started creating a list of restaurants I want to try, and and it just goes back to what we were saying. It's as simple as those things. It doesn't matter what it is that you want to do, just do it and write it down, plan it, and execute.
Yeah.
It really is pretty simple, but your brain just tells you not to do it. Your mind tells you not to do it, and every morning you got to wake up and be like, "Nah, we're gonna do it."
Right. There's a
Um,
power. There's definitely power in that. Like having goals written down, like things you want to accomplish, how you want to accomplish them. And I mean, I guess you necessarily don't have to have a timetable for them. Maybe you do, but like at least seeing them on paper or in your notes on your phone, like, okay, I have these lists of things that I want to do. Like, same with what you had sent me about, when you wanted to create this platform. And it's all about, having the goals in front of you. Feel like that's like the first step of achieving them is seeing them.
yeah, because you can't accomplish something without seeing it. It's really hard to
Yeah.
accomplish a goal if you don't know what it is exactly that you're striving for. So it's important to write that down. And for you, I mean, y'all are 47 episodes deep. How do y'all structure it? Do y'all take notes? Do y'all kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah, for sure. So
okay?
depending on if we have a guest or not, we take take notes. Like for example, so we record on Mondays, and so before that Monday, a couple of days before, Dane and I'll share a note on an iMessage. Like if it's a podcast where we don't have a guest, so we'll mainly be talking about what's the latest sports topics and what is the latest video game topics, movie topics, stuff like that, and we'll just like compile a list, share a list together, and
Hmm.
build like topics off that and different questions we might want to ask each other and stuff like that. It definitely makes it easier. It's like a script for a show, a script for it's basically what that is. And I kind of learned that in my news reporting days. So when you're a sports reporter, like the producer is one that runs like the newscast, and they give you like, depending on what's the big news of that day, they give you like maybe a 2.5 minute block for sports, or like if there's not a lot of news, you get more time for sports, like 4 minutes. So you like fitting it all in this little outline structure. So I kind of like took that concept and brought it to our platform on the podcast, and so it's like just Dane and I bouncing ideas off each other, what we think are like the biggest topics of the week. And if we have a guest on, we do the same thing, but like questions we might want to ask the guest, topics we might want to bring forth to the guest and share it on like a document, and like have a list of questions that we want to ask them. And what's really cool about Dane and I, like we've known each other since the third grade, so we're very good at like nonverbal communication. And so
Yeah,
it's like spot on, like when we have a guest on, and like sometimes we'll have a guest or a question in our outline, and the guest might have answered that like the previous question, and so I'll text him real quick, but like, yeah, he just answered that. Just we'll just go on to the next one, and then like I can look at him on the the video, and he just does the head nod, or vice versa. Like little clues like that, be like, yeah, we you click like that. But overall, man, it like the outline stuff has really helped us, structure how we want to structure the show, and we've tried to add little things here and there on the way to get more creative and try new things like we talked about,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
the
So
general homeboy.
yeah, we got to
I
get back to
loved
the
it.
gym. Yeah, man, our guy Keith, I've known
Loved it,
Keith
bro.
who's in since college, like freshman year of college, and he is actually very very, man, he's great. I don't know how else to describe him, but he does his own, like he's an artist. He does music. He has his own, vegan business doing like meals, personal meals to people and stuff like that.
Okay.
He's like very versatile guy. I could actually, I could suggest him to come on here because his mind is something crazy. Like,
Oh, dude,
it all,
I would enjoy that a lot.
man,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
I'll hit you up about him later, but he's definitely helped us with the sounds of the show and stuff like that, and just trying to try new things and get creative, man. So it's definitely been fun, and definitely looking forward to what's next, whatever that is. So
Yeah, I like that. I appreciate that.
yeah.
So this might be the same for you. When I started like coming up with a list of people that I was going to and that I was going to bring on here, and I was coming up with a schedule, and now actually doing it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I and kind of back to what you were saying, like how you known Keith since freshman year of college, and then now it comes full circle where his talents are helping you out, and vice versa. I think one of the biggest things that I appreciate about this podcast, mine, and even yours too, like you have a different appreciation for the people in your life because now because you sit down and you have these conversations
Yeah.
and you realize how cool, like how many dope people who are in your life,
Oh my God!
right?
Yes, yes. Like,
And it
go
goes
ahead.
back.
Yeah.
Sorry, hold on.
No, go
Sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
It goes back to what, and again, I keep referencing freaking episodes that aren't out yet. But Deonte and I talked about this, and this is a thought that can't I can't get out of my head because I think we're so spot on. You know how like older people are always like, back in my day, I didn't have to
Yeah.
lock my doors. Like it was a safer time to live, even though statistics continue to show that no, it wasn't.
Right.
I've come to like what I've been thinking, and what we were talking about, Deonte and I, was that the reason why people felt that way is because they went out and talked to their neighbors. Like they knew who lived in their neighborhood. Like they knew they had that sense of community. It's not that their neighborhood was safer. It's because everybody knew each other and everybody was looking out for one another. We don't have like I feel like we don't have that as common. Like I don't know any of my neighbors. I say hi to them and I know people from the dog park. So I have a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more I have a little bit more of a sense of community or a sense of safe because I don't tend to lock my door all that much, um, and so I have that kind of that feeling because I know the people who live around me because of the dog park. But I feel like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are so. Um, I feel like that's a big issue that nobody just goes and talks to their neighbors. Like Jeffrey was talking about it right when he moved into his apartment. He was like, "Hey, babe, let's go meet our neighbors." And his wife was
Mm-hmm.
like, "What? Like nobody fucking does that anymore. Like, no, we're not doing that. That's weird." No, it's not weird.
Yeah.
Go talk to them. Go knock on their door. Bring them a bottle of wine or bring them some cookies or whatever it is. Go say hi to them.
Yep.
Get that sense of community again. We're not all that different. We don't disagree on as much things as social media tries to tell you we disagree on. Like we all want everyone to be nice to each other. We want everybody to be respected. We want everybody to be treated as an individual. We're not as far different as it seems to be just blasted at us. And we all very much want like kind of the same ending. Just some people just have some different pathways that they want to get there. And I feel like it starts with that, like knowing the people that you live around. And I kind
Yeah.
of forgot how I got on this tangent, but
No,
but
that's
but that sense of community, man. Like,
speaking of which, like, case in point, in Texas, like, it's been raining crazy the past
yeah,
few weeks, like
yeah,
crazy. And in our neighborhood, our house sits kind of high on the hill, but it's kind of like in like there are houses that sit low, low, low. and our neighbors across the street that we met, like the very first day we moved over here, they came and introduced themselves and stuff, and we haven't talked as much during the pandemic and stuff, obviously, but the other day, Karina and I looked out the front window. It was like this last big rain monsoon that happened last week, and we see the wife and the two kids like literally shoveling water, like because the water had came up to like their front doors here, and it came up to almost the
Oh
bottom of the
snap!
front door, and they're
Yeah,
like buckets of water, like shoveling it,
yeah.
trying to get in the middle of a monsoon, and we're like we gotta help them. So we put on our clothes and like running out in the rain, and the husband wasn't home, he was out of town, and so like we brought over our buckets and we're shoveling, bro, shoveling water from their, like, because their house is literally like, if we didn't help, their house would have been, water would have came in through that front door.
Yeah.
And so just shoveling and shoveling, like literally for an hour straight, shoveling water onto the street until like the city like city workers came and brought one of those like vacuum pumps to suck the water out
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was literally like an hour of non, like the rain wasn't stopping, so we had to like keep shoveling. And it always goes back to the community sense and helping your neighbor, like like essentially we helped them save their home,
Not get
man. It was
flooded.
crazy.
Yeah, like and they're gonna be forever grateful for that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna always remember y'all as the people who came across the street and helped them there.
Yeah.
Like how many other people you think saw them shoveling that water and was like, well,
Yeah.
that
Yep.
sucks.
Pass by. Yep.
Yeah, like
Everybody else in the neighborhood. Yeah.
like
So.
oh well, man, sucks to be them. Good thing I live on the hill.
Yeah.
Should have bought a taller house, man.
Yeah. Exactly,
Like,
man. So it was great, and like you don't do it just you don't do it for the pat on the back. You do it because
no,
they need you. So
yeah.
it
You know,
was
because
great too.
we're all in this. We all are coexisting in this space together. It's
Hmm.
so much easier when we all get along versus everyone just being at each other's throats. Like
Yeah.
it's so much an easier process when we all take the time to get to know that person and really understand their thoughts. And again, that's to reference this and to reference what you do. That's what it's about. It's to find out what makes those people tick, to find out like the things that they're super passionate about, to find out the why they think the way that they think. Not just knowing what they think, but why do they think that way?
Right.
What experience led them to that? And which kind of segues into my next thing that I wanted to talk to you about,
Yeah.
and because it comes directly from perception. My perception of COVID and someone else's perception of COVID can be completely different. And you are going to have a completely different perception of COVID because you've been a school teacher. Like you're going to have
Hmm.
a much different perspective than I'm going to have. And we're going to have different perspectives from someone who worked from home the entire time, or from somebody else, or just just a different perspective on it, regardless of what you did. Like for me personally, not living with anybody else, not having an elderly adult living with me, not having grandparents, not really seeing those people that often in my life. For me, I went to HB every day. Like I didn't think about this at any point the entire year. Like it was never something that crossed my mind. It's not something that worried me. It's not something that I ever thought about. It's not something that ever bothered me. And from my perspective, from my own point of view, that's how it was for me.
Hmm.
I worked the entire time. I'm in the public around hundreds of people all the time. Nobody I know got sick. Like that's my perspective of it. That's my perception of it, right? But your perception can be completely different. And it was completely different. Like
Yeah.
y'all, man, teaching, what a tough year to be a teacher, dude. Shout out to y'all for one.
Man,
It
it's
sucks, man. It sucks because ah, dude, I feel like y'all get a lot of flack, unnecessary flack, and unnecessary hate because there's a lot of like parents who are like, man, my kid lost the whole year of school, and it's not y'all's fault. Y'all did as best as you could. Like y'all are working within the parameters that you can work within. Like there's only so much y'all can do, and it sucks.
man,
Tell,
it's
tell, go ahead.
yeah, it's like you said, man, it's been a tough year going back to when, you know, COVID kind of took over the country. Nobody knew what it was, obviously, and
Yeah.
at first everybody was like, it's just like a little flu thing, or it's just not your thing that's gonna shut down the entire country for over a year and stuff. But on the educational side of it, um, I've when they closed, like shut down the whole entire in person thing, that's when, I mean, of course you knew it was serious, but like that's when it's like, dang, everything's gonna change from this point on.
Yeah.
And coming into this school year, I didn't even want to work in person. Like, because I have asthma, and it's like something that it's like one of the risk factors for it, and
One of
so
the big triggers.
yeah, and so I was like, dang, man, I do not feel comfortable at all dealing with this. And like, there are kids that you know don't really take stuff seriously at all. So managing it was, at first, actually it was a surprise to me, like in my specific classroom and my specific students that I had, that they kind of took it seriously. Like everybody did what they're supposed to do. But as far as, distancing, like that's the, I know I'm like, my brain's kind of scattering, but
No,
things are
you're
coming to
good. That's me every day. That's me every day. You're good.
essentially, bro. You can't, like, when they came out with the social distance guidelines in the classroom, that is extremely difficult, almost impossible, especially if like not every class size is the same, like the actual size of the classroom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't really, like, a lot of classrooms you can't social distance 6 feet from each other. Like there has to be, like, just because the size of the room. And so being able to try to manage that as best you can, and dealing with kids and dealing with like remote students that didn't even come in at all, and teaching kids at the same time in person and remote, like it's like I'm trying to compare it to like people where they can relate. It's like doing whatever your job you're doing now. So if you're a grocery, working in a grocery store, if you're working retail, imagine doing that like you do it now in person, while at the same time you're teaching someone how to do it virtually at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what teachers were doing, every day in the classroom, like literally teaching kids in person and virtually at the same time. And so it's been like, of course things are better, like getting better, and almost back to normal or whatever, but like that is something that will always be, like, it will never be forgotten. Like everything from virtual learning to distancing, the mask, like in a classroom setting, you would never think in a million years that we can't be close to each other. Like in a school that, that just doesn't go together. Like you're learning like a lot of the lesson plan stuff of it, like it requires collaboration, like between students. Like growing up, like you had to do group projects, right, in school,
Sure.
like
Sure.
a lot so it's like adjusting to not doing those things. Like, okay, how can I best teach this student, one, without being close to them, and two, if I have to, like making sure I'm taking the best practices to not be too close. Like it was crazy, but
It's tricky.
yeah, it's like something that is out of like a sci-fi a sci-fi movie or a show or something, like
Well,
um
we can go down. We can go down that rabbit hole. It kind of is.
yeah, man. It's
Shit.
just it in one word I would say crazy, but also like coming, like a lot of the teachers are finished now, like we talked about, but coming to the end of this year, like rewarding, man. Like
Yeah.
being able to complete this year has been nothing short of a journey, but a blessing. Like it goes back to that accomplishment sense of like, man, we got through this and still completed the year, and I still was able to teach them, give them the resources they need, because I'm like teaching 7th and 8th graders, so my 8th graders are going on to high school. Like I'm
Yep.
still giving them the resources to go on to high school to further their education, be a better student, family, or family member, kid, parent, or not parent, but kid for their
Well,
parent and
maybe.
stuff like that. I hope not. Well, I did have an eighth grader that said he had a kid, but I didn't believe him.
Dang.
I don't believe him. But anyway, but yeah, man, it was just a crazy experience overall, bro.
It is, and like I said, like it's a tricky one, right? And everyone was just trying to do as best as they could.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of unknown. People were trying to do the best as they could, uh, and the thought of trying to teach people in person and also teach people virtually, that's just nuts. Like it's just crazy. Like there's just no efficient, perfect way to do that. All you can do is just continue to try your best, and
Yep.
like, and I know a teacher here that lives in my apartment complex, and we were talking, and she was saying how she used to teach first grade, and then this year she had to teach third grade because teachers didn't want, like, there were some teachers that
Yeah.
didn't want to go back.
A
So
lot of
she was
teachers quit.
teaching a
Yeah.
whole, yeah, she was teaching a whole different grade that she's never taught before, and how stressful it was, and the whole 9 yards. And it's just, y'all were just being just thrown in, just plug and
Yeah.
play, plug and
It,
play. Go ahead.
it was a lot of working on the fly, bro. Like adjusting
Yeah,
to
yeah,
um, working virtually. Like even like, well, what the cool thing about it is, like, one good thing I could take about this whole thing, and I hope that this is a future like thing in any workplace. Um, Zoom meetings. Like a lot of teachers, and like this is my 5th year. I've been in a lot of meetings. It was like, man, this could have been in an email. Like,
yeah, for
and
sure.
like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
all of our meetings this year were virtual. I'm like, man, can we keep this forever? Like,
yeah.
we can go back to in person full, but man, these meetings, let's keep, because I could hop on the Zoom on my way home, and it's the same thing. Like, why do we have to be like something? It's crazy, like how a
Yeah.
pandemic can make you think about some things and how, like, man, why were we doing it this way? Like, this
And
seems like a better option.
and I hope that as we get back to normal, I hope that's what we can take from it. We can take the
Yeah,
positives from it. Like,
yeah,
y'all were able to complete the entire year in a pandemic, and y'all did it. Like, you're almost there. You got 2 more weeks left. You completed it. Like, it can't get any harder than this.
yeah.
Knock on wood. Like that. Like, this is about as the tall task of being a teacher, like
I
doing it
agree.
during a pandemic, and you did it. So you can go, like you said, that sense of accomplishment. Like, we can sit here and think negatively about the whole last year as much as we want, but that doesn't change the fact that it happened, and we don't gain anything from that. You gain you can gain something from every situation, and I think that's the perfect way to look at it. Like you said, a sense of accomplishment. Like, I think that's the only way to look at it, because it's
Mm-hmm.
very easy to just be like, man, this year sucked. The kids didn't learn nothing, and maybe some didn't. Maybe they didn't. Maybe
Yeah,
some kids were at home dicking around, and they probably
yeah,
were.
yeah.
Uh, but there was still, but that's gonna happen anyways. Like, people in person are gonna dick around. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
So those same people that were gonna mess around in person just messed around virtually. It's no different. And so it's very easy to just be like, oh, well, my kid lost a whole year of school. Okay, maybe your kid did, but there's probably another kid who studied his ass off and probably
Right.
learned more during this time than he ever has before, because he found, he was at home, and he just had this wealth of information just constantly around him. Maybe he just dove into it. Everything is, like I said, like, just back to starting the segue of this conversation. Everything's about perspective
Mm-hmm.
and perception, how you received it. You could receive this as a negative thing, or you could see this as an opportunity. Like my strength and conditioning coach, he took his Instagram from 8,000 followers to 50,000 followers during COVID. He saw an
Incredible.
opportunity. He didn't let COVID and his business being shut down for 2 months. He didn't let that just be like, oh, well, fuck, man. You know what? Guess I'm gonna go find a 9 to 5. I guess I'm not gonna be able to run this gym no more. He didn't do that. He saw it as an opportunity, and he took that opportunity and ran with it. And and that's powerful. Like, and like, for teachers, like, you could have just quit. You could
Yeah.
have just not been a teacher no more, right?
Yep.
You could have just been like, oh, well, I'll go work. I'll go do something else. And you could have just went and did something else. right?
Trust me, that was something that crossed the mind, but
Yeah, like you could have done it, but
yeah,
you stuck it out, you saw it out. The whole year's done, and now you see this. You have this sense of accomplishment, man. Like, man, next year's gonna be a breeze.
right. Yep.
If I can make it through this year, it's a breeze. It's like
Easy.
starting your morning off with a workout. If I can do this first thing in the morning, the rest of the day is cake. You
Right.
can't do nothing to me that's gonna be harder than this.
Yep.
It's that kind of that same mentality, and everything's just about how you think about it. Like it doesn't
Yep.
matter what it is.
I agree, man. And for to compare this school year to my first one was because my first year ever teaching was at an alternative school, and so it's like the kids that already been kicked out
Oh,
of
okay,
another school. Did I
yeah.
ever tell you that?
How, no, how was that? Because I feel like there's got to be something
Oh my god,
rewarding about that, but then also something.
I wanted to quit
I feel like
after
you
the
can learn.
first week.
Yeah, I feel like you can learn a lot about that though.
Yeah, man, and one of the things I've learned about teaching, and what's helped teach easier to the kids is just connecting and building rapport with
Yeah.
them and
Yep.
finding out where they're at, you know.
Effort.
Yeah,
Effort.
and once they see that you really care about them, the rest is cake.
Yeah.
Being able to connect with them, and me being a younger teacher, I'm not one of the older ones that can't really relate to things that they like video games. Like we talk about
Yeah.
video games, we talk about sports, we talk about things that are going on in their life that I can actually relate to, because I'm not
Marvel movies that they're spoiling for you.
it, bruh. What was it, a Marvel movie?
What?
Did I tell you that?
What? Yeah. What was that? I
Uh,
remember you talking about it. Was it a Marvel movie now? Damn,
oh
I can't
dang,
remember what it was, but I remember. Was it you or Dane?
no,
I
I had
remember one.
spoiled something. It might have been the first Venom movie. I can't remember, but it's something. I felt like I cared about it, but it wasn't like a big Marvel movie,
Yeah,
because I'm
yeah, yeah.
I'm watching those day of.
Yeah, have to. You got
Yeah.
to.
But yeah, being able to connect with the kids, man, is something that made my job easier, and being able to let them know that I can relate to certain things that you're going through, or certain things that you like, and when they figure out that you care and that you want them to succeed, then it's pretty much easy from there. Because if they act out, be like, man, why are you doing this? I've gotten to that point with some of the kids this year, to where I've had a kid that, for example, this year, that's kind of giving me some issues over the year, but the last month or so, we've finally got to that point. Man, why, you know me, right? Why are we going through this? And then he'll be like, all right, Marcel,
Yeah.
I just be messing around, man. He gives a lot of teachers headaches, but with me, I don't have any issues with him. I think it goes back to me relating to him, and being able to figure out what works, as opposed to just straight up yelling at the kid, because that's a negative response you're gonna get off the rip. I try not to yell. I try to reason, man, why? I make them feel.
Yeah.
It's funny though. I make them feel make them question themselves a lot. Bro, okay, why are you coming to class like this? Do you usually come into class like this? All right, let's start this over. Make them
But that's
think,
so powerful. That's so
yeah,
powerful though, because that's a common theme on this podcast is the ability to self-reflect, the ability to be able to go home and sit on your couch and be like, damn, I didn't really go about that in the right way. Maybe I could have worded that a little bit better.
mm-hmm.
Or man, that interaction just didn't go quite the way I wanted it to. And that's kind of that's what you're doing. You're making them think about what they're doing instead of telling them what they're doing is wrong. You're
Mm-hmm.
making them realize that on their own, and that's powerful because that's how you learn. That's what
Yeah,
you take. That's when you take something from that.
and
You
growth.
don't take something.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's when you grow. You don't take something from someone telling you that you're doing it wrong. You got to make them think about it. You got to make them. You got to make them come to the conclusion on their own that they're doing it wrong.
yeah,
That's how you really connect with them. That's how you really get them to grow. That's how you really get them to respond well. And that's awesome, man. I'm glad that you understand that and that you have the ability to do that with your kids, because that's going to impact. And even though you're only going to be able to impact that small portion of society, that very finite portion of society. But that's powerful, even if it's only 20 kids a year, 30, 40 kids a
Right.
year, whatever it is. Like those 40 kids are forever going to remember, man, Mr. Epps was so cool. Like Mr. Epps taught me to do this, taught me to do this. Like Mr. Epps told me like, nah, this isn't cool. Like I shouldn't be doing this. This is how I should carry myself. This is how I should think. And
Right.
you're going to be that Mr. Finnan for us. You're going to be
Bro,
the
I
Mr.
was
Hesses. Yeah. Like,
I was just about to say
yeah,
that. Like
yeah.
when I first, well, I never in a million years I think I would be a teacher, but when I, got into the profession, started thinking about teachers like Mr. Finnan, teachers that like made an impact on me and what they did. Like, cause when you go in Mr. Finnan's class, you're always thinking like he always made the class interesting and like has your mind going from bell to bell. And like that's something I wanted to bring to my classroom is like having kids, you know, being able to relate to them, but also have their mind on the level of like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like with I teach technology, so it's not really more historical. Well, in a sense, we do historical stuff, but it's more like, how can I learn about this, but how can I bring that to my repertoire, my skill set, like how am I able to use this in my future? Why is this important? Because like in school, one of the questions you always hear, and I hear it to this day, like, why do I need to do this? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna use this ever again in life, and I always wanted to like be the opposite of that. Have them have things that they can take from this class, and take it for the rest of their life.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
really
man.
could, and that's something to be proud of, man. You should be
Thank you,
proud of
brother.
that. You should be
Thank you.
because that's I don't know. That's what I like to do. I want to help people, and
Yeah.
sometimes I don't always know how to articulate as I don't really know how to always articulate that. Um, and I don't always connect with all types of people, even though you said that it's something that I'm good at.
Mm-hmm.
But I like everyday people. There's just some things that I can't connect to. Like I'm not very good with a lot of complainers, like complaining, just constantly complaining and looking at everything in a negative light.
Right.
I don't do very good with that. Sometimes I don't always articulate myself the best, and sometimes I come off as a dick. And it's truly not how I mean to be perceived. It's just sometimes uh, I don't know what else to do other than to tell you like, dude, shut up and just do it. Like stop bitching.
Shut up and
And
grind.
yeah, and sometimes it's just not everybody relates to that. Like I relate to that, and so sometimes I try to help people in the way that I want to be helped. Like I want someone on my ass. Like I want someone to tell me, Jordan, you're being lazy as hell. Like stop it. Like you're being lazy. You're being a baby. Just get up and go do what you're supposed to do. Like I respond to that, but
Right.
not everybody else does. And so it's finding that fine line of being able to articulate to someone who needs a little bit more empathy. And so that's really cool that you've figured that out in your young teaching career,
Yeah.
because I feel like there's a lot of teachers that go through their entire teaching career and they don't figure that out. Like
Mm-hmm.
think about how many the vast majority of teachers we had we don't connect with versus the ones we did. Like there's a very small amount of teachers who we truly connected with, who
Stick
we
in your
truly had
mind.
a good time,
Mm-hmm.
who you truly learned something from,
Correct.
and not necessarily the subject that they're teaching, because I don't even think the subject that they're teaching always is what you should be taking from the class. I feel like the teachers can teach the subject, but they can also teach you so much more at the same time.
Right.
And I feel like that's something. I
Like
feel like
life
that's
lessons for sure or
yeah, like
something. Yeah.
there's a lot of things that you can teach just doing exactly what you're saying that you're doing, just teaching them those little things. And I think that's important. I think that's really cool, man. And
Shaping
I'm glad that
shaping the next generation, bro.
you said what?
I said shaping the next generation, man.
Yeah, exactly. And we
Mm-hmm.
need help with that. We do, because
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of scary sometimes when you it, and it's not their fault. Growing up 100% in social media, I think we were born in the best time, because we were born before technology kind of started really booming, and then we've seen the boom of technology. So we have the ability to take a step back and be like, okay, I need a break from social media.
Yeah.
Or okay, there is a way that this could be really positive, but this can also be really negative at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. For those
Yeah.
people who've just been born
That's a
into
good
this
point.
time of technology, man, it's tough. It's weird. It's a really tough thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's just I feel I don't know. They got a whole different world to navigate that we didn't have to navigate,
Yeah. It's
or
just
we didn't
like,
have to navigate until we were older.
right. Like, because kids nowadays, like you said, growing up, like literally growing up and being birthed into this idea
Yeah,
of
yeah,
instant
yeah.
gratification,
Hmm.
likes, retweets, like stuff like that that they think is important to them when it's really not. Because having the satisfaction in, of strangers essentially is what's crazy, and it, man, coming back full circle again.
Yep,
Because
yep.
the internet, man, I really really, when you get a chance, and if y'all are listening to this episode, really go to dissect, because of the internet. And I don't know, like, you listen to this album, right? You
Oh
like
yeah,
Childish.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you really love
Absolutely,
Childish. But
absolutely.
bro, you could really have an appreciation of this, like, even because it's been my favorite album ever since I heard it. But like, that's all I've been listening to now in 2021, because like how they break it down, and like how it's still relevant today in this age of social media and everything that we're talking about. But um to kind of go back to this, being born, like, they're born into this social media aspect, and having to be um having 1,000 likes or whatever, like it's ingrained, and that's scary, man. That's scary. Like, you have to be able to detach from that, and understand, like, there's more to life than that. It sounds so simple, but it's true. Like, being able to detach from that and understand what is real, what's important, which
And
your
live.
if yeah, live your family, your
Hmm.
friends, your career, and like what find out what's important to you, like, and put energy into that, and not into the energy of, the social media
Yeah,
world. You know,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. I mean, yeah. And you as someone who y'all recently married or engaged?
Yeah, so we got married in October. We had a small
Okay.
wedding in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
October, and we're gonna do like the real thing post COVID in this
Okay.
November. Yeah. So yeah,
Nice. That's
I got
exciting.
the
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I got the
Yeah.
band,
So
but
that's really exciting. So
yeah,
that's something that's pretty recent.
yeah,
Y'all getting married, no kids yet.
no kids yet, but a house
There's gonna
full
be
of,
some.
it's like a zoo over here, bro. 2 dogs, 2 cats. I was never I was never a cat person, man. I never was, but Karina loves cats, and now, like, I enjoy cats more than dogs, and I'll
Yeah.
tell you why.
Okay. Let's
Dogs
hear it.
dogs have to be on you constantly. Like, they want the attention. Like, I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but sometimes you come
Yeah.
home and be like, man, I'm so tired, leave me alone. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Cats,
Sure.
cats, they'll say what's up to you maybe, and then they're gone. Like, I could go like a whole day without seeing the cats, and I know that they're fine because they just in their own world, you know. But of course, I love the dogs too. Our pets are amazing, but yeah, no kids yet, man. I think we still want to do like traveling. We like when I first met
Do it.
Karina, like
Do it.
she's always been like the traveler, and we go on trips every now and then when we can, and I think we want to do that a little bit more. Live life a little bit more before we start a family. So,
No, I
uh,
think you should, and that's
yeah.
great because once that kid comes, you got 18 years before you're
Yeah,
doing shit.
what's
You
funny,
know?
Dane has Langston, and
Yep.
my other best friend from childhood, like two of my other best friends from childhood have kids, and now, like, my closest best friends have kids now. Like, I just went to visit last weekend my friend from kindergarten. Him and his wife just had a baby on the 11th of May. And so I went to visit, and it's like, man, all of my close friends have kids now. And then so my mom and dad jokingly are looking at me, like, all right, what's
Yeah.
going
Yep.
on? Hold your horses a little bit. We'll get there in time.
there's multiple things that I kind of want to get at from this exact topic. So the first thing is Karina's a huge supporter of the podcast, or at least she seems like she's definitely a big supporter of the podcast.
Yeah.
How important is that? Like, how important is it to have somebody who you're married to, who is in your life constantly, but understands that you have these things that you want to accomplish and allows you to still try to accomplish those things?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. It's great. It's beyond great. It's fantastic. It's the energy. She gives me the energy to, continue to do this little dream of mine. My goal is to continue to create, and for her to be able to understand, like, on a Monday night, I won't see her for a few hours because I'm recording, with Dane, and I'm up all night editing to make sure I can get it put up on Tuesday and stuff. And so I always thank her for giving me that space to create. Since day one, she's been a supporter, and I mean, man, it's like to have your number one person that is next to you every day, to be like, hey, yeah, you continue to do this. You continue to believe in what's in front of you, what you want to do, what you want to build, what you want to continue to give to the people that listen. It's just it's that energy, man. I guess that's what I could say is like having that. I mean, if she did support it, like, how would I have, like, we talked about earlier, that doubt, like, what am I doing this for? Like, the person that's closest to me doesn't want me to do it. Why am I doing it? Like, not to say that it like completely shuts down the process, but man, it definitely helps having her in
It'd
my
be
back.
powerful though.
You know what I'm saying? So powerful. Like, being
If
able
she
to.
wasn't on board, it would be extremely hard to keep going.
Yes.
Like, if every time you went to go record on Monday night, she was like, "But babe,
Yeah.
but one more episode. Let's just watch one more episode." Like, that would be detrimental. You
Right.
couldn't, because then at that point you're put into a position where you have to choose, and you got to make that tough decision, and you got to decide between your dreams and the person that you truly care about and the person you truly love, and that's a terrible predicament to put your spouse in.
And she's never put me in that one, man, and I'm thankful for that.
Awesome.
And like, she does. She was so funny. She's so smart, and she has that entrepreneur mindset. Like, during the presidential debates, it was funny when Joe Biden had said the "Will you shut up, man" to Donald Trump. She made a shirt that had that quote on there and sold $4,000 worth of shirts and sweaters. You know what I'm saying? Like, she has that type of mind where
Yes.
she's like, I could profit off this. You know what I'm saying? And like,
Yes.
amazing. And she made another shirt later down the road. But that's just the type of person she is. Like, she helps me with ideas for the podcast that that helped me to this day. She's like, oh, for example, man, what's so crazy, the episode, and like, a lot of people don't know this, and so it's so fun. I like sharing the story. I've only shared it maybe twice, but the episode we had with Craig, it was one of, like, I feel like every time we record it, and you probably feel the same way, like, man, I felt like that was the best episode. Every time you put, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, that was so, like, this is the one, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and I felt that way about that episode, right? And so I go back to listen to the audio. Dane's audio is perfect. Craig's audio is perfect. I listen to my audio, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, I guess I hit switch. Like, I got this new. Remember, I was telling you about the Rodecaster Pro, and I just got it. So when I think I had my volume too high, and I was like, oh my god, like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? This is the perfect episode. I don't have, like, you can't go back and get everybody in the room and re-record the music. Like,
it will never work. It'll never work.
Never. No. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, what? I tried, tweaking the audio as best I could. It did not sound anywhere. So I asked Karina, I was like, I'm struggling here. I'm like, I have this audio, like, Dane's is fine, Craig's is fine, but I guess I hit a switch and mine is just very high. Like the gain is high on something's wrong. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, can you just re-record your audio? And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, just play the podcast back with Dane, like, you know what I'm saying? Dane and Craig's audio is in my ears and I'm there too. Like, and so I'm repeating what I said with my settings on my audio switch fixed. And so, bro, I lie to you not. Nobody knows this. Like, if you go back and listen to the episode, you can't tell. But my audio is re-recorded after everything. So I had to spend four
Yeah.
4 hours, making sure I could do it right. Like I'm listening to myself. I'm making like the same laughs that I did previously.
Dude, I love it. That's
yeah,
awesome.
bro. Yeah, and so like I ended up, placing the audio in the same spot that I had it before, and like you can't tell, like if you go, like maybe you get time, bro, just go back and listen to it. You can't even tell that my portion is re-recorded, and it just sounds like it fits right into there. So that was Karina's idea because I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was probably just gonna upload it and just put a preface like, "Hey, my audio part is bad," but I re-recorded it and it worked out. And so she's always helping me, when I have those blocks, creative blocks in my mind, and definitely giving me that energy that I need to continue to do this thing.
That makes me happy, man, because I constantly see spouses bring each other down. Constantly. They constantly hold each other down. Misery loves company.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that not only is it super cool that on Mondays it's like, all right, cool. So babe, you're not gonna see me from here to here.
Mm-hmm.
And that she's cool with that. And I think there's two things that's super important about that. A, she obviously has the ability to do stuff on her own. So she has things that she's interested in, so she can fill that void. She can fill that time with something that she wants to do. And then B, I also feel like that kind of mentality just continues to strengthen y'all's relationship.
Yeah,
because
sure.
if she was if it's a constant like what
tension.
we were saying, like no, why don't you just chill, go record in like 10 minutes, start in 10 minutes, or start in 15 minutes, come on babe, like 2 more minutes please, like whatever it is, that continues just to weigh down and just bring you down, and at some point you're just gonna snap, like some point you're gonna be like, I can't do this no more. So it's like those are the relationships that you can see lasting, that are going to last, because no matter what, y'all are going to support each other truly. Not that like, oh yeah, I support what you want to do as long as it doesn't affect my time kind of thing. No, she knows that if you got to grind Monday night and then something goes wrong and you got to grind Tuesday morning, that's like, you're going to be able to do that no matter what. Like,
it's definitely a great compromise. Like 110%. Like it's something I would not take away for anything. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like peanut butter and jelly. They go together. Like it's, you know what I'm saying? I guess that's the best way to describe it. Like they go together, and like she understands like I'm passionate about this. You know what I'm saying? And having someone there that understands that and helps you with that and supports that and loves that, you know what I'm saying? It's like you couldn't ask for a better thing, and it just makes it so much easier for me to create, these things that I'm doing and continue to push and make, each episode better and creatively, she gives me ideas all the time about what I could do to make it better, and it just makes it easier, man. I guess that's all I can say. It's just easier, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
I love that, and don't ever take that for granted, man.
Yeah,
like sure, I especially working in the industries that I've worked in, whether it's waiting tables or working retail sales, they all have common denominators. People who are just miserable in their lives. Like, man, when I was waiting tables, I was friends with the cooks and the dishwashers. I didn't really get along with servers. Like, and it's always been like that for me, because servers they were majorly just so miserable. Oh, that table didn't tip me that much. Oh, these type of people don't tip very well. blah 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 blah. Whatever excuses they wanted to put into their head that validated their mediocrity, they would allow they would perpetuate that
Right.
out. And God, dude, it's exhausting after a while. It's like, no, they didn't tip you because you're trash. Because it took you 5 minutes to refill their drinks. That's why they didn't tip your ass. It has nothing to do with who was sitting there, what it was, X, Y,
Right.
and Z. It had nothing to do with that. You're just trash at your job. You're slow. You take
Yeah.
too long. Like that's what it is. It's you. Like the
Looking
quicker
good
you
type
can,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, the quicker you can look at yourself as the issue in everything that goes wrong in your life, the easier life gets. Whether or not it was your fault or not, it's just so much easier to just focus on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And working in these type of environments with these types of people where the common denominator is just always just like excuses, or they're in bad relationships, or they're unhappy with their life, or they're a single parent, or whatever it is, the common denominator is always just like, yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is what you're experiencing in your relationship is just something that I don't see as very common. And
Yeah.
so when I say don't take it for granted, is that it's going to be very easy for you to just be like, or for y'all to be like, man, this is how relationships are supposed to be. Da 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 da. Like
Right.
this is just how we do it. But man, don't take that for granted, because if something ever happened, if like you didn't have her and you were trying to find someone else that served this same purpose as she's
Mm-hmm.
doing, it'd be really, really hard, because that's not it's really not a normal thing anymore. It's not a normal
Go
thing
from
that,
that to yeah.
yeah, it's just not a normal, it would be so hard to find someone else who does what she's doing, like to support you unconditionally and vice
Unconditional.
versa. And that's what it comes down to too, just loving someone unconditionally, no matter what. If an issue occurs, you're gonna solve that issue. Not looking at problems, but looking at solutions. And I'm happy for you, man. That
Okay,
makes me
Dr.
happy.
Brodey.
I'm glad. Yeah. I mean, but it's just, man,
No,
it's
I
just
feel
like
you,
that.
man.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, dude. It's
I
awesome.
like
And
definitely not taking it for granted.
no, you can't ever. Like you can't ever. Like that's just, it's super cool. It's super cool, because it's just not It's just not that common from at least from my perspective. At least the
Mm-hmm.
people that I've worked with over my last 10 years of working, whatever it is, 7 years of working. It's just not a common thing. Most people are unhappy, and they try to make the other people in their lives equally unhappy so that they don't feel as bad about it. And y'all aren't doing that. Y'all are uplifting each other. Y'all are lifting each other. Y'all are encouraging each other to do what you want to do, regardless if it ever becomes profitable, or regardless if it ever blows up. It doesn't matter. It's something that you're passionate about and you want to do it. And y'all are
Right.
going to support each other, and you're going to do it. And also shout out to Dane in the same instance, because
Yep.
he has a kid. He has a kid and a wife, and he
Yep.
continues to still get on the same thing. So shout out to his wife as well. Like a
And
kid
I
and a wife.
definitely, yeah, I definitely thank her often about
Gotcha.
lending.
Yeah, yeah.
Nisi, thank you for lending lending your husband to me for a few hours. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that sacrifice. It's the sacrifice, bro, and understanding like I said, like something that you're passionate about. I'm gonna be passionate about, or I'm gonna support your passion. You know what I'm saying? Like this is something you love to do. Okay, I'm gonna love you loving that. In
Yeah,
like equation, you know what I'm saying? Like I'll support you because you love this. Like that's what
yeah,
love is supposed to be. Like
yeah.
unconditional support, unconditional love. Like that's how it's supposed to work. That's how it's supposed to be. And
Those are the two
definitely
key
try our
words.
best. Yeah.
Unconditional.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just summed up my 10-minute tangent with one word: sacrifices.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gotta sacrifice, man.
Sacrifice.
That's why my tattoo says what it says right on my rib cage. For
Oh,
those I
you got a
love, I'm
sacrifice
gonna
tattoo?
sacrifice. What's up?
What's the tattoo?
It says, "For those I love, I will sacrifice."
I love it, bro.
Right, right on my rib cage, and I live by that every day. Like that's the only thing that I've ever felt so strongly about in order to get tatted on my body. Like I want my whole arm done, but I have no idea what to get because there's nothing else that speaks to me the way that that does. And that was my first tattoo, the only tattoo I have. And it's unconditional and it sacrifices.
Yeah.
Love somebody unconditionally and be ready to make sacrifices for that person.
Yeah.
And it's got to be 50-50 always.
Yeah.
You can't be the only one sacrificing. It's got to be both ways.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better, bro. Couldn't have said it better, man.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not taking that for granted.
That's good, man. That's good. And I definitely that was definitely something I wanted to touch on. I wanted to bring up. Anybody who I perceive to have a positive relationship, I want to hear about it because I want to hear what makes it positive and like how y'all go about things, especially with people who are doing multiple things. You work a job, doing the podcast, now you're starting the blog. Mm-hmm. You're doing all these different things, and then you got your everyday tasks that you got to do. You got to go to the grocery store. You got to mm-hmm. make food. You got to do laundry. You got to cook. You got to clean.
And quality all time with your wife. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, quality time with each other. Date night. Y'all date night?
Yeah, date night actually coming up too. Her birthday's next week, so I gotta pull up some tricks. You know, like what's so crazy, bro? I hate when she does it. I hate it, but. She always like because my birthday's a month before hers, so like she goes like not that I don't go out, but she makes me raise the bar, bro. Like on like birthday gifts, like
she knows what you're doing.
She took me to a resort in San Antonio for my birthday, and I'm like, bro,
yep.
Oh, I got some things in the works though. So, but no, it's definitely like something that. I've cherished. I've known Karina since 2017, and we've been dating since 2017, and it's always been easy. And I think I'm very fortunate to be in this situation because I mean we have our issues. You know, like every couple argues,
sure.
You know it happens in relationships, but like it's been easy to be in it. You know, I guess. I'm making it sound so simple, but it has been. And I think it's because we both understand each other so well. We both understand what we love and how we can support one another, whether it's my podcast or her different passions, you know, with work and stuff. And we could talk about stuff that happens in our lives, everyday lives, like with our jobs and stuff. And our families love each other too. And that's very important. Like that was very important to me. I went to her little brother's graduation in Houston last night in the Woodlands. It was in the Woodlands. He graduated from Willis High.
Okay.
And so I literally drove down there. It was raining cats and dogs again, but I had to, do a turnaround for work this morning. And her mom sent me a text saying, really appreciated her family. Like, I love her family. Her family loves me. And like, that's so great because you don't get that in like, that's one of those other things, bro, that I'm not going to take for granted because I hear all these stories about, the in-laws, the crazy in-laws, you know what I'm saying? And so I've never been in that situation. And so I'm just thankful. Like, I'm thankful for it. And I'm like, I know I'm like going off on it, but like,
go off on it, dude.
Yeah, I really appreciate it because I understand like I'm in a fortunate position and not a lot of other people can say the same thing. So it's one of those things about being appreciative of it and not ever realizing otherwise,
Yeah, and it just makes it that much easier to enjoy each and every day of life.
Yeah.
Regardless if you have a bad day, like it just makes, or a bad portion of your day, that the whole day is not going to be bad because you're going to be able to come home to her. You're going to be able to talk to her about your day. You're going to be able to do your podcast without judgment. You're going to be able to do X, Y, and Z and all those things that we just talked about. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And happy birthday to her because when this comes out, it'll be past her birthday. Mm-hmm. And I realized that earlier when I kept saying I keep referring to episodes that haven't come out yet, even though when this comes out.
Because you said Deonte, I was like, oh, the other Deonte. I was like, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever met him in person, which is crazy. But we both went to Killeen. I knew of him, but I never met him. But we have a lot of mutual friends and stuff, so I'm excited for that one. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was a fun one. He flew in from Miami, so that was super cool. I got to see him. Yeah, I got to see him. That was awesome. I haven't seen him in a while, so he's out there doing big things, and that's another person who really inspires me,
Yeah.
along with you and Dane and a lot of people in my friend circle, because he has set goals, and he has just continued to achieve them and continues
Yeah.
to knock them out. And this man always posting pictures in his Tesla, and I'm mad as hell every time because I don't
Yeah.
got mine yet. But
Yeah.
everything has its time and its
For
place,
sure.
and mine's coming. But yeah, man, he's another person that's just like, damn, he just keeps knocking one thing off the list, and
Yeah.
it's cool. And for your podcast, for like the graphics and things that you post on Instagram, for one, those are awesome. I
Thank you.
always use those as inspiration on trying to when I finally sit down and start trying to create my own and trying to
Yeah.
be a little bit more creative with my production. Is that something you do yourself?
Yes. So I just use. I don't know if you ever heard of Canva, but it's you can make a bunch of different graphics. Canva.com. But I just I'm just trying to find different ways to expand the audience that we have.
Yeah, yeah,
And like Instagram for sure, it's easy to attract an audience that way. It's just posting like articles, just like ESPN, would do a Yahoo Sports, would
yep,
do a Bleacher
yep,
Report, would do. So I'm basically, what I'm saying, whatever happened, like recently with Coach K retiring, I was like, okay, just make a quick little graphic. Like I have templates set in the projects or whatever, and I could just take a previous picture that I had, take it off, put whatever is relevant or whatever I'm posting about. And it just goes back to my days at Baylor where I learned different techniques, digital media stuff, and yeah, it really is just something I want to expand on and try to do different things to connect to the audience. Same with the blog that I'm starting. I want to try to. I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself by going week to week with it. So I was like, man, let me just try to do a month, and maybe if I get more grasp on it, I could do maybe bi-weekly. You know what I'm saying? But I want to do something small to like get an attraction to the audience or the website, and hopefully to the episodes and stuff like that. It's just like an extension of what we've already built. And I'm gonna reference this for the third time. Sorry, audience, but
do it.
the the Because the Internet album. And I won't talk about the dissect, but on his album, if you remember, Brodey, he had the screenplay of the album. Like it was like a script that went along with the album, and it was
Okay,
an extension of the album itself that went along with the songs.
okay,
And it was an extension of that album, and he had the different rollouts, the website to go along with the album. On his tour, he had different apps that you could use while at the concert. But I kind of use that as a concept to what I want to do with the podcast. Is like, we have the podcast now. I want to branch it out with the digital media stuff, with the blogs that I want to write or start writing, and then something else that I'm working on. It's not really an extension of this podcast, but this summer, one of the projects that I don't even know if I kind of mentioned it to you, but I want to do, because this year will be the end of this year will be 30 years for Colleen winning the state title in 1991.
okay.
And so what I want to do is do like a short podcast series on that, because that was the same year that Colleen had the deadliest shooting at that time in the U.S. with the Luby shooting. So
Yes, yes, okay.
so what I want the series to be about is like kind of like the shooting, and how the football team served like as a um not like a crutch, but like inspiration when the city
Yeah,
needed it in a
yeah,
time of despair. And so I got Doc to interview. I got to connect with him. I got his phone number, and then some of the players from that 91 state team that I have their phone numbers, and they agreed to do interviews and stuff. So that's like the summer thing I'm working on when I don't have school. It's a project that I can hopefully get done before August. I want to try to have it out, but I'm having a friend of mine that does music work on the like trailer music for it. It's going to be like a narrative pod, which I've never done, obviously, because this is only my second podcast. But I'm
yeah.
just trying stuff and trying to
Dude,
do
I
stuff
love
that
it.
I'm passionate about. And
I love it, man.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
I'm excited about it, and excited to see where I could do
You
with it.
Yeah, constantly innovating. I
Yeah.
love it. Like
Yeah, man.
you're constantly trying to try new things, and I respect that because that goes
Yeah.
back to what we were talking about at the very beginning about the whole anxiety thing, about people commenting, criticizing, the whole 9 yards, like
Mm-hmm.
putting yourself out there, and that's awesome because the blog, I really like that idea. So that's going to be on y'all's podcast episode, on the website.
Yeah, the website,
Okay.
the Duo Sports and Stuff, so long, the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast.com. Yeah, it was just like, man, I have this website here and it's really cool and I built it pretty cool and it has the episode links on there, but I felt like I wasn't using it enough. I felt like I was just using it to post the episodes, which is cool because the episodes are there and, you can look at other stuff, but I'm like, man, it'd be cool to have like another aspect to it. So like, why not have like other kind of content on there to put more value to the website and push
Yeah.
more, people that would like to hear other thoughts that we had. Maybe I could get Dane to write something or do something cool on there. I haven't asked him about it, but in my mindset, man, I'm just like, man, I have some time this summer when I'm not doing other things. I'm like, man, this would be a cool idea to just try something new, try something different, try to attract more people to the website and eventually the podcast and stuff. So just different extensions of what we already had.
Hell yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, man. I love
Thank you,
that.
bro.
Y'all
Thank you.
been an absolute inspiration. I absolutely enjoy y'all's podcast, and
Thank you, bro.
that's the truth. That's a truthful statement. That's not because we're friends. That's not because you did this. It's not anything like that. I genuinely enjoy y'all's podcast. I look forward to Tuesday walks. I look
Thank you.
forward to listening to it, man.
Supporter from day one, man.
I really
I
do.
appreciate you.
Absolutely, and always. Like that's just how it's always gonna be. Like I'm always gonna be riding with y'all no matter what. Even if my podcast doesn't go nowhere, I'm still riding with y'all no matter what. It's never gonna be that salty feeling like, ah man, they're doing good and I'm not. Like it's never like that. Like no matter what, I'm always gonna be listening. And I really enjoy that. I really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, for sure, man. Had to. I was excited, man.
Yeah.
When you sent me the text about getting on, like I'm like, man, I'm happy to be a part of this because like I said to you, bro, I'm proud of what you've done. You set goals, you've achieved those goals thus far, and I have no doubt in my mind that you will continue to get better and excel to the next level because like by far like you've really inspired me as well to push and continue to be you know admire what you do, like, you know what I'm saying, like push and be creative and be fun with it, and like you said at the beginning, excited for this other thing that you're doing that's not your 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying? So man,
Enjoy it.
salute to you. Yeah, for sure.
Enjoy it, man. And I really appreciate that kind words. And I don't want to keep you too long because I know the Mavericks are playing, and I know you're a
I've been checking every
Mavs
now
fan. It's right about halftime, I'd imagine. I've been keeping up with the time.
Okay,
So
I think we're up
yeah,
right now. Let's see.
because I know it's a closeout game, so I want you to be able to go enjoy that. So I won't keep you here another hour, even though we could keep going. I really appreciate you. Tell everybody where they can find you. Shout yourself out. Throw it all out there.
For sure. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DEPS, DEPPS, Right Steps, on Twitter and Instagram. And the podcast, you can follow the podcast at Duo SNS Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to listen to any of our episodes, they are on all digital streaming platforms. You could just search the Duos Sports and Stuff podcast. And yeah, man, we're 47 episodes in, almost to 50. It's crazy. Never would have thought to get this far. Yeah, man.
That is so crazy. Almost 50 episodes in. That's awesome, dude. And someday you're gonna be looking at it 1,000 episodes in. You'd be like Joe Rogan when he's on number almost 1,400.
That's crazy, man.
It's just, man, it's so much. It's just so much fun, and what an opportunity that we have to be able to do this, and a lot of the stuff we can do on free platforms that don't really cost much. It's this is something that anyone can do. Anybody can start a podcast. It doesn't really cost a lot. Like you
Yep.
can do it.
I've
And
had
that's cool, man.
I've had questions like that too. Like, how do you do a podcast? Like, I mean, it's like you said, it's free apps out there, or you don't even you can record a podcast on your phone.
Yeah, on your
Literally
phone.
record
Yep.
yourself talking and upload it to what's the Anchor, and like literally it
Yep.
goes to all the other platforms. I mean, it's easy, man. Anybody could do it. Like if you really want to do it, man, it's you have the tools in front of you. So just do it
Absolutely.
like Nike.
Absolutely. Just do it like Nike.
Yeah,
Hey, well, I really appreciate you. I won't keep you too much longer. I feel like there was shoot me the can you shoot me the link of the thing that you used to make the graphics, please?
yeah,
Um so I gotta play around with that a little bit.
yeah, for sure.
Um but yeah, I always appreciate you. Thanks for being a supporter of the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
Keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna keep rocking with it.
Likewise, my guy. Appreciate you
All
so
right,
much, man.
brother. I appreciate you. And guys, we'll see y'all next time. Boom.